Hello party people, and happy Hobbit Day. Today is September 22nd, and it is known as Hobbit Day because it is the day of Frodo and Bilbo Baggins's birthday. Yes, they have the same birthday. I like to think of Hobbit Day as sort of the first day of fall. And to celebrate the cozy season, I wanted to take a deep dive into one of Middle-earth's most classic foods, Lembas bread. In this video, I'll be making 4 separate recipes to attempt to capture this elven bread. But first, I think we should consult our reference material. So I'm going to read to you a passage from the Fellowship of the Ring. The food was mostly in the form of very thin cakes, made of a meal that was baked a light brown on the outside and inside the color of cream. Gimli took up one of the cakes and looked at it with a doubtful eye. "Cram," he said under his breath, as he broke off a crisp corner and nibbled at it. His expression quickly changed, and he ate all the rest of the cake with relish. "No more, no more," cried the elves, laughing. "You have eaten enough already for a long day's march." "I thought it was only a kind of cram, such as the Dale men make for journeys in the wild," said the dwarf. "So it is," they answered, "but we call it lembas, or whey bread, and it is more strengthening than any food made by men, and it is more pleasant than cram by all accounts." "Indeed it is," said Gimli. "Why, it is better than the honey cakes of the Bearnings, and that is great praise, for the Bearnings are the best bakers that I know of. But they are none too willing to deal out their cakes to travelers in these days. You are kindly hosts." "All the same, we bid you spare the food," they said. "Eat little at a time, and only at need, for these things are given to serve you when all else fails. The cakes will keep sweet for many days, if they are unbroken and left in their leaf wrappings, as we have brought them. One will keep a traveler on his feet for a day of long labor, even if he be one of the tall men of Minas Tirith." Apparently the term lembas translates most directly to journey bread. So when we say lembas bread, we're actually being redundant. We're saying journey bread. But I'll leave links below with more information if you want to get into that. So it's not a stretch to theorize that lembas is based off of what we would call hardtack. So that is what I'll be making first. And I don't really expect it to taste good, but it will be an experience. After that, I will be making 3 different cookies to try to capture the sweetness of this elvish bread. The first cookie I'm gonna make is sort of like a soft cinnamon, almost graham cracker-like cookie. The second cookie will be sort of a lavender sable, which is like shortbread, but it has egg in it. And the final cookie we'll be making will be like a cardamom orange shortbread. Something about shortbread, which is just like a cookie that's mostly butter, I think really aligns with how filling lembas bread is supposed to be. All right, well, let's get into it. This first recipe for hardtack I got from Tasting History with Max Miller. I'll link his video below if you want a deep dive into ship's biscuits, which is another name for hardtack. This recipe is literally 450 grams of flour combined with 1 cup of water. I used whole wheat flour for a more authentic taste. It's a dry dough that you knead a lot and then bake low for hours until it's the driest thing you've ever seen without being burnt. This next recipe I found on Pinterest, and I don't know who to credit except someone called the Weeping Time Lord. First, we put 2.5 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon salt into a bowl. Then add 1/2 cup of butter. Then add 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon honey or agave syrup like I did. Then mix and slowly add 2/3 cup of heavy whipping cream and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Cut the dough into classic lembas shape and then into the oven for 12 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. This next recipe is from a blog called Rhubarb and Lavender, and I'll have that linked below. We start by putting 1 tablespoon of culinary lavender buds and half cup of sugar into a food processor and grind it to a fine powder. Then we're going to whip 3/4 cup of butter and add the sugar and lavender powder to the butter. Then separate 2 egg yolks and add those egg yolks as well. Then add 2 tablespoons of honey or agave syrup, 1 tablespoon vanilla. Lastly, add 2 1/4 cup of flour. Do not overmix. Put the dough into the freezer to chill for 30 minutes, and then cut it up and bake at 350 for 10 to 15 minutes until it's a golden brown. This last recipe is super simple. It's a basic shortbread recipe that a friend gave me. Start by whipping 2 sticks of unsalted butter, then incorporate 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. Add a 1/4 teaspoon salt and a teaspoon of cardamom and about a tablespoon of orange blossom water. Finish off by adding a pinch of orange zest and 2 cups of flour. Chill in the freezer for 30 minutes, cut up and bake at 375 for about 20 minutes. So first I will have you try the hardtack.
I feel like a horse. I mean, like I need water immediately.
You don't have to eat more.
And the flavor is actually kind of good.
It's
what kind of flour is it?
Literally whole wheat flour and water.
Wow.
I got the good flour.
I need to go get some water though.
Ah. Mmm. Okay, and then next up, we have, it's like a soft, almost gingerbread-like cookie.
Okay.
There's no ginger in it though. It's cinnamon based.
Okay. The flavor is actually just like a graham cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, making s'more with that would be really good.
Mmm. Where are you going? So number 3 is a lavender shortbread adjacent, more like a sable type cookie.
Okay.
Has some egg yolk in it, but this one has lavender.
Oh, that excites me. I love lavender. That's really good.
Our lavender is kind of old too. It's not even like the most pungent that it could be. I feel like lavender is like a very elf type flavor. Lastly, we have orange cardamom. But I kind of overbaked them accidentally. And I also don't think that I put enough cardamom and orange in it. When you get the parts that aren't like too overcooked, that's decently good texture.
I mean, all 3 of these other ones are really good. Good job.
Thanks. So there you have it. 4 different ways to attempt to make lembas. The lavender seemed to be a winner. And if I was going to attempt the cardamom shortbread again, I would definitely use more cardamom and more orange. I would maybe even use fresher cardamom, like straight from the pods. I hope your fall is off to a cozy start. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and a happy Hobbit Day.